the third and the last in the Vietnamese American Experience series organized by the Asia Society Texas Center. Hi, I'm Ruchi Mukherjee, your Houston correspondent, bringing you details from Creative Voices, Creative Minds panel discussion. The organizers are promising it to be an interesting and interactive evening. Let's now take a look. With me is one of the speakers, Dai Huynh, columnist with Houston Chronicle. Welcome to TV Asia.
Thank you, Ruchi.
So tell us how you're speaking today, and what are we going to expect, and what do you think about this evening today here?
Well, I think tonight we're probably going to talk about all the inspirations in our lives, and so that's something that we're going to play around with. And, you know, it's supposed to be a really good crowd, so I'm looking forward to it.
Chloe, welcome to TV Asia, and welcome to this evening here. Tell us something, what are we going to hear from you?
You're going to hear how my journey of becoming a fashion designer, what it took, the passion it needs to be a fashion designer, and just, I guess, hear my story and how I became Chloe Dow, I guess, designer Project Runway.
With me, another speaker for today's evening, Andrew Lam. Andrew, welcome to TV Asia.
Thank you.
How, in your point of view, you see Americans viewing the Asians?
I think that perception is changing quite a lot in the last 20 years. Asia is becoming more close to American life than before. I mean, 20 years ago, who would think sushi would be part of, say, food in high school cafeteria in some schools, you know, or that you can find fish sauce down in aisle 4 in Safeway, you know. So in a way, Asia is no longer that exotic to the rest of America, that in fact, you know, we are more informed of each other than we thought can be possible.
I think it'll be a very interesting panel. I'm an artist myself, and so I'm very interested in the creative process, and I look forward to hearing how other people come up with ideas, how they synthesize them, and sort of how the end product comes about.
When I first started, my father said, can you tell me, you know, because I told my parents I'm not going to medical school, and that I'm going to go to writers' MFA program at SF State, and my mom just like cried right there. And you say, oh my God, sending you to Berkeley was a big mistake. You're going to be a hippie, and you're a hippie. And I said, no, I'm going to a master program in creative writing. And my parents said, what is that? Why are you writing? Why aren't you a doctor? And
why wouldn't you make money?
Why would you make money?
With you?
So it was really tough. And then my dad, you know, being a practical guy, he got an MBA, so he wasn't really exactly, you know, backward. And then he said, well, I challenge you, name a Vietnamese who can make a living in America as a writer. And this is back in 1990, you know, and I kept, like, I squeezed my brain and I couldn't think of one. There was no one. 1990 was 15 years after the Vietnam War ended, and the community was the one that was built on people who escaped from Vietnam, mostly immigrants and refugees. And so, who the hell are you, you know, speaking English as a third language? I went to French school. So, so like, who are you to write, you know? And so I could name one person who could make a living as a writer as a Vietnamese. And so I looked at my dad and I said, you know, Dad, it's gonna be me. And then he said in Vietnamese, no, mất dạy. Mean you, uneducated, whatever that. How do you translate that?
You have no teaching, you have no learning.
You have no learning.
Ingrate.
Yeah, ingrate. Yeah.
But in his defense, it's true, because just yesterday I was saying, when I grow up, I want to have Andrew. I do.
Basically, she said I'm old. But anyway, so long story short, I decided to go into the writing career against family expectations. Wait, what was your question? Okay, thank you.
You know, it's really funny because of Project Runway, I get to do a lot of interviews and a lot of things, and I always tell people, I don't speak English. You know?
No.
I mean, I do a lot of speaking engagement. I think it's hilarious because, you know, English is my second language, really my third. So for me, it's really weird. I live in this kind of blissful, ignorant world because I don't see myself, because I get an interview like, being a straight designer, a female designer, is that a challenge against the gay designer? I'm like, no, that never affected me. Being a female in the industry, does that ever, you know, make you challenge? No. Being Asian, no. Being short, no. I mean, honestly, I never see any of that as a challenge because I'm just because this thing I do is what I really do, and I think I'm pretty. And there's some moments where I'm like, oh my God, I suck as a designer, this dress is horrible, I hope no one ever gets to see this. Of course I have those moments. But when you want to do something so badly, you kind of just, all those challenges that everybody faces and you know is there, you don't see it. You're just doing your thing and hopefully it's successful. So honestly, the main challenge is just to make the perfect garment, or what I think is the perfect garment. That's the only challenge that really, truly, that you have to care about. When you think of all the other barriers, then it's just going to bring you down, and you can't do what you need to do.
I think as an artist, you tap into your experience. When you create, whether it's a painting or when you're writing, you tap into past experiences. And so for myself, it was just understanding a lot of the challenges that my parents went through in my family and the difficulties that they had to overcome. And so over the years, and I started focusing more on writing profiles. And when I did my profiles, it was always the profile that basically dealt with an individual challenge, whether it's to save his great-grandfather's coffee farm, or to open a restaurant after basically immigrating, crossing the border illegally into the States. And I was able to understand the challenges that we went through because of my heritage. And if you were to ask me how that bridged over into my career, I think it, my past experiences.
I was living in New York when 9/11 happened. I lived a mile and a half away from the World Trade Center. From that morning, I could see people jumping off of the World Trade Center. And my subsequent solo show was about the emotional link between 9/11 survivors and sexual abuse survivors. But I remember calling home and my parents telling me, wanting to check in about me in New York, and they were telling me that in Little Saigon, in Orange County's Vietnamese community, that they were flying flags, American flags everywhere. And I remember being very surprised because of the Vietnam War, and my father said, well, no. Those Vietnamese know that they have opportunities here in America that they otherwise would not have in Vietnam. And I thought of all my parents' friends and how they now have, estates and luxury cars, and children who are doctors and lawyers and, six-figure business people. And of course they would fly American flags because they have these opportunities. But then I thought of my parents and I thought, okay, they're still in the same tax bracket that they were when they first came here. They came here in the 60s to get their PhDs. And I'm their only child, and I'm no doctor, I'm no lawyer, I'm definitely not making six figures. So what is it that you're grateful for? Why are you thankful that you're here? And my father actually said for you, for the opportunities you have to live and be an artist in America, because you would not have these opportunities anywhere else. And so in that same vein, those moments of my father, of my family, those personal moments are the moments of truth. Wow, it